Come in, my child. I'll tell you why travelers are zealous as you should stay away from old, distant ruins, especially the forgotten mines. The world as it was known before the Great War no longer exists. Ashes, wastelands, and ruins have replaced once thriving cities. Humans, mutants, and ghouls struggle for survival in this post-apocalyptic nightmare. But even in these harsh conditions, there are places that make the blood run cold. One such place is Broken Hills. Sarah was an experienced wanderer. She had traversed dozens of ruined cities and survived where many had not. One day, hearing rumors of the abandoned Broken Hills mine, where rare resources and valuable artifacts could supposedly be found, she decided to check it out. The mine was several days' journey from the nearest settlement. The sun was already setting when Sarah reached the mine entrance. The entrance was surrounded by thorn bushes and dilapidated building. She walked around, looking to make sure no one was nearby. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Sarah activated the flashlight on her Pip-Boy and cautiously entered the mine. Her footsteps echoed dully in the tunnel, and the flashlight illuminated rusty rails and abandoned equipment. The air was stale, mixed with the scent of decay and old wood. After a few minutes, Sarah came across a strange image on the wall. It was a roughly drawn symbol resembling an eye. She touched it with her finger, and it left black soot stains on the stone. The deeper Sarah went into the mine, the heavier the air became. Her heart began to race when she heard a faint whisper. She stopped and listened. The whisper grew louder and clearer, but she couldn't understand what was being said. The voices sounded as if they came from another world, and it seemed they were calling her name. Sarah quickly turned a corner and found herself in a large cavern. Scattered on the floor were human bones and torn clothing. The whispering stopped, but now she felt like she was being watched. She knew this place was unlike any ordinary abandoned mine. Sarah raised her Pip-Boy and illuminated the stone walls, trying to find an exit or any traces of people who had been here before her. Suddenly, her flashlight flickered and went out. Sarah tried to reboot her Pip-Boy, but it didn't respond. She was left in complete darkness, surrounded by silence and cold. She heard rustling and movements around her, and terrible images began to surface in her mind. Her eyes gradually adjusted to the darkness, but it was too dark to make out anything. Sarah decided to move by touch, trying not to trip over rocks and debris. A few minutes passed, but it felt like time had stopped. Sarah felt a cold draft and heard indistinct sounds coming from deep within the tunnel. She followed the sound, hoping it would lead her to an exit. Soon she felt another strange symbol on the wall. This one looked like a spiral stretching into infinity. As soon as Sarah touched the symbol, the Pip-Boy turned back on, casting a green glow from the screen. A message appeared on the display: "You have entered a forbidden zone." Leave immediately. Sarah froze, realizing that something was very wrong here. Sarah continued to move forward, following the signs on the walls. Soon she entered a large cavern, where an altar stood in the center, surrounded by candles. Ancient books and scrolls were scattered around the altar. On the altar lay a skull, and next to it glowed a strange artifact. Sarah approached, and her Pip-Boy began emitting warning signals. She looked at the screen and saw that the radiation level had suddenly spiked. She quickly glanced around and felt the presence of something watching her. Suddenly, the candles went out, and Sarah felt her body paralyze. Darkness enveloped her, and she heard a voice speaking in an unknown language. This voice seemed to penetrate her consciousness, awakening hidden fears and memories. Sarah tried to resist, but the darkness was too strong. Suddenly, she felt her Pip-Boy start to vibrate and emit light. It was her last hope for salvation. She focused on the light and tried to push the darkness away. The light from the Pip-Boy grew brighter, and Sarah felt the paralysis recede. She mustered all her willpower and took a step forward. The darkness parted and Sarah saw the exit from the cavern. She ran towards it, not looking back. She burst onto the surface, gasping for fresh air. The light from the Pip-Boy continued to shine, illuminating her path. Sarah knew she had escaped the clutches of an ancient evil, but she also understood that the Broken Hills mine was not just a place. It was a source of darkness that would wait for its next victim. Sarah never returned from her journey. Those who heard her story avoided the mine, but the rumors continued to spread, and there were always brave souls who tried to find the treasures of Broken Hills. None of them ever came back. And in the cold, dark depths of the mine, the ancient evil continued to wait, feeding on the fear and pain of those who dared to disturb its rest.